you guys are doing this lunar eclipse in the 511 with the focus on the 5th house. Of course, 5th house is everything from love affairs and having fun to risk-taking, creativity, and fertility. And so that's where your focus is. Now, of course, this is a lunar eclipse, and so the moon represents the emotion, that need that you have. The sun represents your sense of self. And in between those two, the block is the earth. And the earth is all the mundane things that we do, like doing the dishes, doing the laundry, etc. So that's what's in the way. Basically, your daily schedule is getting in the way of you having fun, taking risks, and living the creative life that you want. And this eclipse comes to help you break free of that energy. So that's what we've got there. Now we have an extremely powerful 5th house that you've been doing for some time with those 4 planets, Moon, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. I didn't say those in order, but those are all there. And so what we've got there is this energy of that being creative or taking risks almost feels so empowering that you feel like you cannot handle it, that it is like trying to drink out of a fire hose, that is just too much. And your key here is the moon and this eclipse, and that's to break it down into these small components. It is the Capricorn energy, which is building a monument just brick by brick. And so that means you take the first step today, the second step tomorrow, and that leads to the love and the joy and all the other things that the 5th house can bring. Now, one of the blocks, of course, is that the Saturn there is making an inconjunct to the North Node in your house of career. And so this does indicate that you might not be feeling that your career is exactly expressing your life path, or that you feel like you know what your life path is, but you don't have the time or maybe the courage to do it. And so this block, which is an inconjunct, says you have to make adjustments. And this is about expanding your comfort zone, just putting your toe in the water and just going slowly where you can, step by step, really expand what it is that you feel comfortable doing, whether that is speaking on camera, whether it's speaking to a group, whether it's showing your art or being creative in front of others. All of these things are important. That inconjunct is going to be with us for a little while longer, so you really want to capitalize on this energy. Now, lucky you, Virgo natives, you guys have Mars in Aries in your house of resources from others, and it's going to be there for the rest of the year. And that means that as you take action, you can get help. You can get help from mentors, you can get help from people who could do funding for you, bring you money, to bring you knowledge, to bring you opportunities, to help you meet the important people that you want to meet. So you have that ability now. This is the longest transit that you're ever going to have in your house of resources from others, so you really want to capitalize on this over the next 6 months. Now, this Mars is going to go retrograde in September, so all the seeds that you're planting now, even if you take a misstep, even if you kind of fumble it and say, oh, you know, I should have contacted the CEO, but I only contacted the assistant or something like that, all of those opportunities come back to you in September. We'll talk more about that as we get closer to that date, but it means that just push forward, keep pushing forward, because opportunities are coming. So when it comes to your relationships, we have a lot of energy in the area of love and romance, not so much in that established relationship energy, because Mercury and Neptune aren't really doing a connection this time. And so it is important for you in established relationships to really make an effort for communication, because this says that communication can be a problem. Mercury's retrograde and it's not making an aspect with the Neptune, so it could be that there's a miscommunication, or that you're missing phone calls, that you're not answering emails, or you're just not talking to each other because you're both staring at the TV or something. But when it comes to love and romance, wow, things are really heating up. So you do have a lot of dating opportunities. As we mentioned before, there is a lot of opportunity to connect, even with somebody from your past, because that Mercury is retrograde. Now, when it comes to home and family, we don't have an aspect again, and so we don't have a lot of energy happening except in the area of children and fertility. So it looks like there's less attention paid to your partner and a lot of attention paid to your kids. Could be maybe because it's summer and now what are they going to be doing because they can't go to summer camp. Maybe they have to just stay inside and perhaps they're bored for the very first times in their lives. And so maybe there's a lot of tension on that. There is a lot of fertility energy here, so that could be adding to the family through a birth, adoption, maybe more pets, and so that can bring a lot of activity. So when it comes to, again, when it comes to your spouse, you do want to have, really conscious communication, but when it comes to your kids, they're going to be pulling at you from all directions, so you won't have any trouble paying attention to them. When it comes to your career, you have Venus up there, elevated in your chart, and it's in Gemini. Well, of course, it's in Gemini because that's where it's going to be, but it does mean that your charisma is high, your magnetism is there, you can get the job if you want it, you are going to get compliments from customers and clients, from your supervisors, so that's great, and its ruler is in that a house of money derived from career, so that means you're getting paid. Now, the Mercury is retrograde, and so there might be some delays, but that's okay because it is going to come through, and it's going to come through really strongly, which we'll talk about in a second. When we look at your money, it is pulling money from that Venus in the 10th house. That means when you are doing your career or when your name is out there, you are going to be making the most money. So if you are leading a team, you want your name on top. You want to make sure that you are telling people, this was my idea, this is the work that I've done. If you have your own business, this is easy because your name's already on it, and so promoting yourself is the best way for you to make more money. Now, this also does say that if you're in a profession where you are doing things like communicating, singing, music, anything where you're expressing yourself, you're going to do very well. As we mentioned before, that Mars is going through your 8th house, and that is the money from passive income sources, so that is very strong. And that Mars is making an aspect to Venus, which does mean that you have lots of passive income sources, and that means you have lots of opportunity for money that comes through investments, royalties, residuals, or business income. Also making money through a spouse or through a family business, or just family has a lot of money and they give it to you. So, but all of these options for you are very strong between now and the end of the year. So it does say you need to take a little action. It is a sextile, so you can't just let it languish, but when you take action, you can get funding, you can get loans, and you can get things forgiven, you can get resources from others. And it does say you can achieve some investing success, but again, in this volatile market, I do want you to be super cautious. This is only a sextile, it's not a trine. When it comes to that money derived from career, we already mentioned the Mercury, but I said that there was some really good news, and that is because the Sun is there. And that means that's probably your strongest source of money this time. It is also tied to that eclipse, so it does ask you to do some new things, but you are going to have a breakthrough. So even if you were to lose a job, you would get a job that's so superior to that, it would make up for that energy. So that says that money derived from career is going to do very, very well during this period. When we look at your speculation, gambling, any high-risk investments, while you are doing the eclipse there, and we did talk about that, but I do want to warn you that energy is extremely powerful. It is like wrestling a python. You want to make sure that you know what you're doing if you're going to be investing funds that you need. If you're just throwing a few bucks here or there for the occasional lottery ticket, that's great, but you want to be cautious on any sort of high frequency trading, or if you are doing any sort of gambling or extreme risk taking, because this energy is awfully powerful. And because it's awfully powerful, a little goes a long way, so that's the good news.